What if I told you that the only thing standing between us and a better world is a simple choice? A choice to stop the hate. In a world where people are quick to judge, quick to argue, and quick to tear each other down, it's time to take a stand. This isn't just about kindness. It's about healing, understanding, and creating a future where love, not hate. How many times have you seen someone judging someone else based on their race, religion, or appearance? Or maybe you've been the one at the receiving end, feeling hurt by harsh words or actions. In today's world, hate seems to be everywhere. But what if I told you that the real power we have is in our ability to stop it, stop the hate, and start making a difference? The question is, are we ready to change? Are we ready to stop the cycle of negativity and start building a more compassionate world? Hate is an emotion, and like many emotions, it can shape our thoughts, influence our actions, and impact how we treat others. But it's not just any emotion. Hate is an intense, negative emotion that leads people to harbor deep hostility or aversion towards someone or something. At its core, hate involves a complete rejection of the target, which could be based on a range of superficial or deep-seated differences, such as race, religion, or even personal experiences. A powerful feeling. Hate can be so strong that it makes people lose sight of reason or compassion. It often takes root in fear, misunderstanding, or past hurts. It's not simply about not liking someone or something. Hate involves a desire to see harm come to the object of hate. The effects of hate, when people feel hate, it doesn't just stay inside them. It affects how they talk, act, and think about others. Hate can lead to harsh words, violence, exclusion, and discrimination. It can impact relationships and communities and cause long-lasting damage to both the individual who feels the hate and the one who is targeted. Hate can cloud judgment, leading to actions that harm individuals and entire communities. It can cause people to act out in ways that seem out of proportion to the perceived offense. In extreme cases, hate has fueled atrocities, wars, and devastating societal divides. It's crucial to distinguish between prejudice, discrimination, and hate, as these concepts often overlap, but they are distinct in their manifestations. Prejudice refers to judging someone or something before having all the facts. It's often based on preconceived notions or stereotypes. A person might assume someone is untrustworthy based on their race or nationality without ever getting to know them. How it's different. Prejudice is more about attitudes. It's an internal belief or opinion that isn't always acted upon, yet it can still lead to negative outcomes when it shapes how we treat others. Discrimination is when people take actions based on their prejudices. It means treating someone unfairly or unjustly because of their race, gender, or another characteristic. A hiring manager might not hire a qualified candidate because of their ethnicity, even though the person is fully capable of the job. How it's different. Discrimination is the action that follows from prejudiced thinking. It involves tangible harm such as exclusion, unequal treatment, or denial of rights. Hate takes things to an extreme, often causing a person to feel intense anger or hostility toward another person or group. It is more than prejudice or discrimination. It's often marked by a deep desire to harm or diminish the target. A person might actively seek to cause harm to someone because they hate their background, religion, or beliefs, even if the target has never done anything to provoke that anger. How it's different. Hate goes beyond beliefs or actions. It involves a deep emotional rejection and an intention to harm or dehumanize others. Hate isn't something new in human history, but in today's world, it often feels like we're seeing more of it. So, why does hate seem to be on the rise? Here are a few reasons. Media, especially social media, often highlights the worst in humanity. Negative events, conflicts, and extreme opinions get the most attention because they evoke strong emotional reactions. This can lead to a cycle where we are constantly exposed to polarizing content, which can fuel hate. When negative news about certain groups or individuals spreads quickly on platforms like Twitter, Facebook, or news websites, it can plant seeds of hatred in people who don't critically evaluate the information. Social media is designed to encourage engagement through shock value, strong opinions, and emotional responses. This can cause hate-driven content to spread rapidly, while positive, constructive content might be buried under layers of sensationalism. Algorithms can prioritize content that generates strong reactions, meaning controversial and hate-filled posts get more visibility and engagement, even if they cause harm. Politics today is often seen through a highly polarized lens. The divide between different political factions can make people view others as enemies or outsiders. Politicians and influencers often use divisive language to rally support, creating an us versus them mentality that fosters hate. Political leaders may intentionally incite hatred towards certain groups by blaming them for problems in society, amplifying fears, and creating an atmosphere where hate becomes justified or normalized. People fear what they don't understand. Fear of different cultures, races, or ideologies often transforms into hate. As the world becomes more interconnected, some people feel threatened by the diversity they encounter and respond by rejecting or fearing those differences. Immigrants, refugees, and minority groups are often scapegoated as the cause of social or economic problems, which leads to hate and discrimination toward them. This is an important question to ask because understanding what fuels hate can help us address it. So, let's dig deeper into some of the potential sources. Lack of understanding is one of the biggest drivers of hate. People often fear what they don't know, and without education or exposure to different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences, misconceptions flourish. When we don't know someone, we tend to fill in the gaps with stereotypes and assumptions. This can lead to prejudice, which, if unchecked, grows into hate. Fear is closely tied to ignorance, but it goes deeper. People often hate because they are afraid. Afraid of losing control, afraid of being replaced, or afraid of the unknown. Fear triggers defensive mechanisms, and sometimes these mechanisms manifest as hate. When people fear economic instability, they might blame immigrants for taking jobs or view them as a threat to their way of life. This fear can develop into hatred when individuals or groups feel powerless to change their situation. Sometimes, hate is rooted in personal insecurities. People who feel inferior or threatened by others' success might lash out in the form of hatred. Whether it's jealousy over wealth, power, or opportunity, envy can cause individuals to direct their anger at those they feel are more fortunate. Hate can also be passed down from generation to generation. Historical conflicts, trauma, and injustices often leave deep scars that cause entire groups to harbor hatred toward others. These sentiments may be fueled by stories passed down within families or communities, without ever being questioned or reassessed. Some individuals or groups deliberately fuel hate for personal or political gain. This can include misleading information, propaganda, or even targeted hate speech. These strategies manipulate people's emotions and encourage them to direct their anger at specific groups. The rise of hate in society is complex, but it's essential to address the roots of hate to stop the cycle. It's not just about knowing that hate exists. It's about understanding where it comes from, why it grows, and how it can be eradicated. By asking ourselves what fuels hate, we open the door to understanding its sources and taking the first steps toward dismantling it. Whether it's ignorance, fear, insecurity, or cultural conditioning, recognizing these patterns is a first step in breaking them. So, I leave you with this question. What can we do as individuals and as a society to begin addressing the roots of hate and create a world where love, empathy, and respect thrive instead? Understanding where hate comes from is a crucial first step in addressing and eliminating it. Hate doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It often arises from various deep-seated influences, ranging from cultural factors to personal insecurities. Let's explore these key sources of hate in a way that encourages thoughtful reflection. One of the primary ways hate can spread is through cultural and societal factors. These are often passed down from one generation to the next, consciously or unconsciously, and can be deeply embedded in the way we view the world. In many societies, older generations may pass down beliefs, values, and prejudices to the younger ones. These beliefs may be rooted in past conflicts or long-standing stereotypes that have been ingrained over time. Children grow up in environments where hate is normalized or even justified as a part of the culture, and it becomes difficult to unlearn these behaviors without significant effort and awareness. Media plays a significant role in shaping how we perceive others. For example, television, films, and news outlets often portray certain groups in a stereotypical light, reinforcing negative biases. When people are consistently exposed to harmful or distorted portrayals of others, it can be easy to adopt those negative views, perpetuating a cycle of hate and misunderstanding. Families are often the first place we learn about the world. The attitudes and beliefs our families hold can have a profound impact on our own worldview. If a family teaches that one group is superior to another, or there's an ingrained dislike towards specific people or cultures, children are more likely to adopt those views without question. This cycle can continue unless a conscious effort is made to challenge and change these beliefs. Hate is often learned from those around us, and breaking this cycle requires us to be aware of what we're passing on to future generations and how we're influenced by media and society. Another major factor that contributes to hate is fear of the unknown. It's natural for people to fear what they don't understand, and this fear can lead to resentment or even hatred. If people grow up in homogeneous communities where everyone looks, talks, and thinks the same way, they may develop an unconscious fear of those who are different. Differences in race, religion, culture, or even lifestyle can seem foreign or threatening when they are not encountered regularly. This lack of exposure can lead to misconceptions and generalizations about the other. Without meaningful interaction and learning, we can easily misunderstand others' beliefs, customs, or practices. These misunderstandings can give birth to stereotypes and misconceptions that often fuel hatred. For example, someone who has never met a person from a different culture might assume things based on rumors or what they've seen in the media, which can quickly spiral into negative feelings. The spread of misinformation, whether intentional or accidental, is another aspect of the fear of the unknown. In some cases, misinformation about different cultures or groups is spread to create divisions, further fueling fear and hate. Fear often comes from a place of ignorance, and without the effort to seek truth, it can continue to grow. The unknown breeds fear, and fear, when left unchecked, turns into hatred. The more we open ourselves to other people, cultures, and experiences, the more we can dismantle the fears that drive hate. In some cases, hate arises not from external factors, but from internal struggles, specifically personal insecurities and envy. Individuals who struggle with their self-worth may project their feelings onto others. They might feel threatened by someone who is perceived as more successful, more attractive, or more confident, rather than addressing their own insecurities. These individuals might lash out at others in an attempt to feel better about themselves. For example, bullying or discrimination often stems from people projecting their own feelings of inadequacy onto those they perceive as different or better in some way. In competitive environments, whether in school, work, or society, some individuals feel that they are constantly in competition with others. When someone else achieves something they desire, it can trigger envy. This envy can transform into negative feelings, resentment, and even hate. The idea that someone else is what they want, or is seen as better than them, can lead to a sense of inferiority, which is often expressed through hostility, rather than confronting personal struggles. Individuals may choose to project their frustration onto others. If they feel powerless in one aspect of their life, such as career, love, or status, they might direct their anger and bitterness at people they see as having something they lack. This unhealthy mindset can easily breed hatred, as the focus shifts from self-improvement to tearing others down. Sometimes hate is a reflection of the emotional pain or feelings of inadequacy within ourselves. Instead of addressing these issues, we might use hate as a way to deflect from our own struggles. Do we truly understand each other, or are we only seeing the world through the lens of our own experiences? This question is at the heart of understanding hate. If we only view the world from our perspective, it becomes difficult to empathize with others. It's easy to make assumptions or form judgments without understanding the broader context of someone else's life. But if we open our minds and hearts, if we make an effort to listen and understand, we can begin to see the world through the eyes of others. When we understand others, we're less likely to judge them, and certainly less likely to hate them. True empathy allows us to look beyond surface differences and recognize that at our core, we share common human experiences and emotions. This understanding doesn't always come easily, but it's a crucial step in stopping the hate. Hate doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's often the result of generations of influence, fear, insecurity, and misunderstanding. To stop the hate, we must actively work against these forces. By exposing ourselves to different experiences, challenging our own biases, and working on our emotional growth. By addressing the roots of hate, we can create a more compassionate and understanding world for everyone. Hate is a powerful emotion. It's easy to feel when we're hurt, wronged, or frustrated, but what many don't realize is the far-reaching effects that hatred has. not only on people directly involved, but on entire communities and societies. Let's dive deeper into the harmful consequences of hate, starting with the social effects, moving on to its impact on mental health, and then examining how the cycle of hate perpetuates itself. One of the most visible and impactful effects of hate is the way it creates division within communities. When people begin to hate based on differences, whether those differences are race, religion, gender, or personal beliefs, it fosters an us versus them mentality. Rather than viewing each other as individuals with shared humanity, we start to group people into categories. This leads to segregation and alienation within neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and even online spaces. Hate doesn't just stay as an emotion. It often leads to violent actions. This violence can range from verbal abuse to physical altercations, or, in extreme cases, riots or wars. Hate fuels aggression. Think of how racial or religious hate can lead to clashes between different groups, with one group believing their way of life is superior. The result? Not only do we hurt others physically, but we also make it harder for future generations to coexist peacefully. When hate is allowed to fester, it often results in systemic discrimination. This is where people are treated unfairly based on their race, gender, religion, or socioeconomic background, and can be seen in hiring practices, educational opportunities, or even access to health care. When society discriminates against certain groups, it reinforces societal inequality and causes long-term harm, especially to those who are marginalized. How often have we seen hate drive people into smaller, disconnected groups, making it harder for us to live together in harmony? Can we think of any examples from our own communities where hate has led to division and separation? Hate doesn't just harm the physical body. It leaves deep scars on the mind and spirit of its victims. The emotional toll can be devastating, leading to feelings of isolation, anxiety, and depression. When someone is hated or discriminated against, their self-worth is often questioned. This can lead to a lack of confidence and even result in mental health disorders. Individuals who experience hate may internalize those negative messages, believing that they're not worthy of love or respect simply because of who they are. The constant exposure to hatred, whether through bullying, racial slurs, or even microaggressions, can cause a person to retreat from the world. This mental and emotional toll is often invisible but extremely damaging. The effects ripple through their social relationships and daily life. Hate doesn't only affect the person who is the target. It harms the one who harbors it as well. When you hate, you carry negative emotions that consume your mental and emotional energy. This builds resentment, stress, and bitterness. The more someone feeds their hate, the more likely they are to experience anxiety and anger issues themselves. Furthermore, the individual who spreads hate often isolates themselves from healthy relationships, reinforcing their belief that others are not to be trusted. This leads to a cycle of emotional numbness, where they might no longer feel compassion or empathy for others. Their mental well-being is at risk, just as much as the person they hate. Have you ever thought about how someone who harbors hatred might feel mentally and emotionally? Could their hatred be a reflection of unresolved pain, insecurity, or fear? One of the most destructive aspects of hate is how it perpetuates itself. Hate doesn't just stay with the individual who feels it. It spreads, almost like a contagious disease. People who experience hate often turn around and hate in return. A person who faces racism might start to distrust others who share the racial identity of those who harmed them. A community that has suffered discrimination may grow bitter, leading to an us versus them mentality that pushes people further apart. The cycle continues as hatred is passed down generation after generation. A person who grows up surrounded by hate might be taught that it's normal to hate others who are different. They might, without realizing it, perpetuate these feelings to their children, and the cycle continues. This isn't just an emotional response. It's a social phenomenon that affects entire generations. When hatred is deeply rooted in society, it leads to ongoing conflict, where people feel that their very identity is under threat. In these circumstances, it's incredibly difficult to break the cycle of hate. As the cycle of hate continues, it creates tension in society. Tensions grow between social, racial, or political groups, leading to a breakdown in trust. Societies that experience high levels of hate are often torn apart by protests, violence, and even war. It's easy to see how hatred has led to civil unrest throughout history, from political divides to cultural wars. But it doesn't just affect nations. It happens on a personal level, too. What happens when we hate? How does it affect the mental and emotional well-being of those involved? When we hate someone, we're not just damaging them. We're damaging ourselves. We may not see it immediately, but the bitterness, anger, and resentment we harbor slowly erode our peace of mind. The emotional toll on both the victim and the perpetrator is undeniable. The mental scars left on both sides can last a lifetime, making it harder for us to heal and move forward. The impact of hate is far-reaching. It divides us as a society, damages our mental well-being, and creates a never-ending cycle of conflict. But it doesn't have to be this way. We have the power to break free from this cycle and choose compassion, understanding, and empathy over hatred. Stopping the hate begins with each one of us taking responsibility for our actions, our words, and our mindset. Let's not perpetuate this harmful cycle. Let's choose peace. Empathy is one of the most powerful tools we have to create understanding and break down barriers between people. It involves more than just sympathy or feeling sorry for someone. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, step into their shoes, and see the world from their perspective. Let's break this concept down, piece by piece, to understand how empathy works, why it matters, and how it can dismantle hatred in our communities. At its core, empathy is the ability to recognize, understand, and share in another person's emotions and experiences. When we say we feel someone else's pain or joy, we're practicing empathy. But it's not just about feeling for them. It's about connecting with them emotionally and intellectually. There are three key elements of empathy. Cognitive empathy. This involves understanding someone's thoughts and perspective. It's when you can intellectually grasp what the other person is experiencing, even if you've never lived through it yourself. Emotional empathy. This is when you can actually feel what someone else is feeling, experiencing their emotions on a deep level. This type of empathy often leads to a stronger emotional connection. Compassionate empathy. This goes beyond just understanding and feeling what someone else is going through. It compels us to take action to help ease their suffering or bring them comfort. Empathy isn't always easy. It requires self-awareness and a willingness to challenge our own biases. But it's essential in creating bridges where there are divides, whether that's across cultures, experiences, or conflicts. Hate often stems from fear, misunderstanding, and a lack of connection between people. When we don't understand someone else's experiences, it's easy to demonize them, to view them as the other, and to create an us versus them mentality. This is where empathy can be a game changer. Empathy breaks the cycle of hatred by inviting us to see beyond our own experiences and open our hearts to others. By actively listening and try to understand where someone else is coming from, we humanize them. When we connect on an emotional level, we can no longer view the other person as a stereotype or a threat. Active listening. Empathy isn't just about feeling for someone. It's about listening deeply to them, giving them space to be heard, and recognizing that their feelings are valid. When people feel heard, they're more likely to reciprocate and listen to us as well, challenging our assumptions. Often, hate and prejudice come from a place of assumption. We assume we know what someone is like based on their race, religion, or social status. Empathy challenges us to let go of these assumptions and approach others with openness and curiosity. Building connection. Once we understand someone else's story, their struggles, and their joys, we realize that we're not so different after all. Empathy helps us see our shared humanity, which diminishes feelings of division and fosters compassion instead of fear. This active engagement with others through empathy can create spaces of understanding where hate is less likely to thrive. Empathy has been the cornerstone of many movements for peace and reconciliation. Let's look at a few examples where empathy helped to heal deep wounds and create lasting change. After decades of apartheid, South Africa faced the daunting task of healing the wounds of its people. The TRC was a groundbreaking initiative that allowed both victims and perpetrators of violence to come together in an effort to reconcile and move forward. Through the process of storytelling and listening, many people were able to hear each other's pain and extend forgiveness. The TRC wasn't just about telling the truth. It was about listening deeply to each person's experience, understanding the emotional and psychological weight of their stories, and recognizing their shared desire for peace. By hearing each other's pain, South Africans began to rebuild relationships across racial and cultural divides. during the Civil Rights Movement. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks used empathy as a powerful tool to challenge the systemic racism that plagued the country. Through peaceful protests, speeches, and activism, they humanized the Black experience, inviting the public to feel the injustice and suffering that people of color were enduring. By sharing their stories and asking people to walk in their shoes, they were able to inspire a broader movement for change. Empathy played a huge role in shifting public opinion and laying the groundwork for legislation that helped dismantle institutionalized racism. The 1994 Rwandan genocide left deep scars on the country, but in the years following the atrocity, empathy became central to the reconciliation process. Through community healing efforts, survivors and perpetrators came together to share their stories, acknowledge their pain, and begin rebuilding relationships. Empathy in action. The Gacaca courts were a traditional community-based justice system that allowed both victims and perpetrators to speak openly about the crimes committed during the genocide. This process encouraged people to confront the past with empathy, fostering an atmosphere of forgiveness and understanding. Now that we've explored what empathy is, how it can dismantle hate, and seen examples of how empathy has worked in real life, let's ask ourselves, could empathy be the key to ending hatred in our communities? What if we all took a step back and listened first? What if we approached others with curiosity and compassion, rather than judgment or fear? Can empathy help bridge the divides between different cultures, religions, and political ideologies? In a time when the world feels more divided than ever, could the answer to reducing hatred be as simple as learning to listen with an open heart? Are we willing to put in the effort to empathize with people whose views and experiences are completely different from our own? Are we ready to challenge our assumptions, let go of our prejudices, and actively work toward mutual understanding? These are not just theoretical questions. They are actions we can take today to build a more empathetic and loving world. We can start by practicing empathy in our daily interactions, at home, at work, on social media, and in our communities. By understanding others better, we will naturally begin to reduce hatred and pave the way for a more peaceful world. Empathy is more than just a tool. It is a powerful force that has the ability to transform individuals, communities, and entire societies. It allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes and fosters connection rather than division. As we continue to face conflicts, misunderstandings, and hatred in our world, empathy might just be the key to healing those wounds and creating a more compassionate future. So, I challenge you to ask yourself, what steps can you take today to practice empathy in your own life? How can you use your ability to understand and connect with others to dismantle hate and make the world a better place for everyone? How can we stop the hate? Hate doesn't disappear overnight. It is learned, passed on, and nurtured over time. The good news is that it can also be unlearned. Stopping the hate doesn't have to be a huge, monumental task. It can start with each one of us, and here's how. The journey towards stopping hate begins within ourselves. Often, we don't realize how deep-rooted our biases and prejudices are. These biases can be shaped by many factors. Our upbringing, the media we consume, the people we interact with, and even our own personal experiences. Self-awareness is key because acknowledging our biases is the first step in overcoming them. Recognizing our own biases allows us to change the way we think and react. Sometimes, we may have negative assumptions about people from different backgrounds, races, religions, or even economic statuses. These biases, often subconscious, fuel hate and division. It's not about blaming ourselves, but about being humble enough to admit that we are not perfect and that we too might harbor prejudices we need to address. Reflect on your own beliefs and actions. Ask yourself, have I ever judged someone based on their appearance, race, or background? Expose yourself to different perspectives. Spend time with people from diverse walks of life, engage with their stories, and hear their experiences. This helps challenge preconceived notions and opens our minds to understanding. It's not enough to say, I'm not racist, or I don't hate anyone. Instead, we must ask ourselves, what unconscious biases might I hold, and how can I change them for the better? Hate thrives in ignorance. When we lack knowledge, we tend to fear what we don't understand. This fear can lead to prejudice, division, and ultimately, hate. One of the most effective ways to stop hate is education. Not just formal education, but educating ourselves about the cultures, beliefs, and experiences of others. Why it is important. Breaking down stereotypes. The more we learn about different people, cultures, and worldviews, the more we see that we share many common human experiences. Whether it's a desire for peace, safety, love, or opportunity, we all have fundamental needs. Creating empathy. When we take the time to learn about others, we build empathy. We start seeing people as individuals, not as labels or stereotypes. This can dissolve the hate that comes from misunderstanding. Educate yourself. Read books, watch documentaries, attend lectures, or engage in community events that focus on understanding different cultures and communities. Knowledge is a first step to dismantling ignorance. Engage in open, respectful conversations. We don't always have to agree, but we can learn to listen with respect. Listen to understand, not to respond. Conversations where both sides feel heard and respected can bridge gaps and break down walls of hate. How can we ever hope to stop the hate if we don't first take the time to learn about those we may fear or misunderstand? Actions often speak louder than words. We can choose to lead by example in every interaction we have. Small acts of kindness, compassion, and understanding may seem insignificant, but they can have a ripple effect. When we lead by example, we influence those around us, creating a chain of positive actions that can eventually lead to societal change. When we treat others with respect and kindness, we set a standard for those around us, especially for younger generations. Our actions teach others how to behave. Acts of kindness spread. Imagine if each person you interacted with treated others with kindness. That creates a domino effect, where each kind act inspires another, gradually transforming the community. Be kind in your everyday life. Hold the door open for someone. Listen when someone needs to talk. Show empathy when others are struggling. Challenge hate when you see it. If you hear someone making hateful comments or spreading prejudice, stand up respectfully. You don't have to argue, but you can kindly challenge their point of view with facts or personal experience. What if everyone around you started reflecting the kindness and compassion you show them? How could your actions contribute to a world where hate becomes the exception, not the rule? A critical way to stop hate is to support those who are marginalized. People from minority groups, whether based on race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, often face discrimination and hate on a daily basis. Standing up for them not only provides support, but also challenges the societal norms that allow hate to persist. Why it is important. Creating solidarity. When we stand up for marginalized communities, we show that we care about their well-being, and we challenge a narrative that allows hate to thrive. Breaking the cycle of oppression. Discrimination and hate often stem from historical injustices. By standing in solidarity with those who are oppressed, we begin to heal the wounds of the past and ensure they are not repeated. Listen to marginalized voices. Amplify their stories, their struggles, and their experiences. Show up when they need allies, whether that's a protest in conversations or through supporting their businesses and causes. Advocate for change. Push for policies that protect the rights of marginalized groups, and speak up when you see systemic oppression or injustice. Are we actively contributing to making sure everyone's voice is heard, especially those who have been silenced or oppressed? As we break down the ways to stop hate, it's essential to ask ourselves what role we play in this process. Are we being active allies, speaking out against injustice, educating ourselves, and leading by example? Or are we passive bystanders, letting hate continue unchecked because it doesn't directly affect us? Every individual has the power to make a difference. Our choices, no matter how small, have the potential to shape the world around us. We are all responsible for making our communities, our workplaces, our families, and even our online spaces safer and more welcoming for everyone. Stopping the hate is not about a single person or a single movement. It's about collective action, starting with each of us individually. It's about being humble enough to reflect on our biases, curious enough to learn, and brave enough to take action. If we truly want to see a world without hate, we must be the ones to make it happen. Let's stop waiting for others to make a change. It starts with you and me. Let's lead by example and create the world we all deserve to live in. In today's world, social media has become an integral part of our daily lives. From Facebook to Twitter, Instagram to TikTok, these platforms have connected people in ways that were once unimaginable. However, With great power comes great responsibility. Social media is a double-edged sword. While it has the potential to bring people together, it can also be a breeding ground for hate, division, and negativity. On one hand, social media allows individuals to connect with others across the globe, exchange ideas, and share experiences. It provides a platform for people to voice their opinions, raise awareness about important issues, and build communities based on shared values and interests. But on the other hand, social media can also amplify hate, anger, and fear. It's all too easy for negative voices to spread false information, bully others, or perpetuate harmful stereotypes. The anonymity provided by social media platforms often emboldens individuals to post hateful comments or engage in online harassment without facing the immediate consequences they would in real life. For example, think of the number of online hate campaigns, cyberbullying incidents, or inflammatory political debates that have gone viral on social media. These actions don't just stay online. They can influence real-world behavior and cause emotional harm. The words we choose and the content we share on these platforms have a far-reaching impact. As users of these platforms, we must recognize our role in shaping the content we consume and share. Responsible social media use means being aware of the power we wield when we post or comment. It's important to understand that what we share can either uplift or harm others. Therefore, using social media responsibly requires us to engage in ways that foster positive dialogue, respect diverse opinions, and encourage constructive conversations. To use social media responsibly, here are some practical guidelines. Think before you post. Ask yourself, does this post contribute positively? Does it have the potential to uplift or educate others? Before hitting that share button, consider how your message will be received. Avoid engaging in toxic arguments. It's easy to get sucked into online debates that only lead to more hostility. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, try to respond with empathy or disengage when a conversation turns negative. Report harmful content. If you encounter hate speech, cyberbullying, or harmful misinformation, make sure to report it to the platform. Social media companies have mechanisms in place to handle such issues, and your report can help prevent harm to others. Encourage others to use their platforms for good. Your influence can extend beyond your own actions. Encourage your friends, family, and followers to think critically about what they share and to spread positivity, not negativity. While social media can indeed be a platform for hate, it can also be a powerful force for good. The key lies in shifting the narrative. Rather than letting social media be dominated by negativity, we can choose to use it to promote kindness, foster education, and build mutual understanding among diverse groups of people. Spread kindness. Use your platform to share positive messages, inspiring stories, and acts of kindness. A simple thank you or compliment on someone's post can brighten their day. Positive content is more contagious than you might think. Educate and inform. Share articles, videos, or personal stories that promote understanding and respect. For instance, sharing educational content about different cultures, religions, or social issues can help break down stereotypes and encourage empathy. Support marginalized voices. Give visibility to those whose voices often go unheard. Whether it's by supporting artists, activists, or individuals from underrepresented communities, using your platform to elevate others can contribute to a more inclusive world. Challenge hate with facts. If you encounter misinformation or hate speech, respond with facts, logic, and empathy. Instead of resorting to anger, provide information that can help correct misconceptions and encourage healthier dialogues. Join movements that promote positivity. Participate in campaigns that advocate for love, peace, equality, and justice. You can use your social media platforms to rally others behind causes that matter, making it easier for people to unite for good. Can we use our online presence to spread love rather than hate? The answer is absolutely yes. It might take more effort, but it is possible. Our collective influence as social media users can help reshape the way we interact online. So, how can we challenge negative narratives and make the most out of our online presence? Led by example. Every time you post something kind, thoughtful, or educational, you are contributing to a larger movement of positivity. The more people see examples of this behavior, the more likely they are to follow suit. Engage in respectful dialogue. Challenge negative narratives not by engaging in insults or arguments, but by offering respectful, constructive responses. The goal isn't to win the conversation, but to open minds and promote understanding. Raise awareness. Share stories or facts that challenge stereotypes and promote inclusivity. This can help counter the harmful narratives that are often spread online. Create safe spaces. Encourage others to use social media as a tool for support. Whether it's starting a discussion group or an online community, you can foster a space where people feel heard, valued, and respected. By choosing to focus on love, understanding, and education, we have the power to shift the culture of social media, from one that perpetuates hate to one that promotes connection and compassion. Social media is inherently good or bad. It's how we choose to use it that determines its impact. If we all make the conscious decision to be more responsible in our use, promote kindness, and challenge negativity, we can transform social media into a platform for building bridges, not walls. So, next time you scroll through your feed, ask yourself, am I contributing to the problem or the solution? What positive message can I share today? We have the power to spread love instead of hate, but only if we choose to act with compassion and understanding. Let's use our voices to make the world a better place, one post at a time. We've all felt it, the anger, the frustration, the deep-seated dislike that sometimes bubbles up inside us when we encounter injustice, inequality, or even personal offenses. But what if I told you that this intense emotion, which seems so destructive, could actually be the fuel for something truly powerful? What if we could channel that negative energy into something productive, something that creates lasting positive change? This is where the concept of turning hate into action comes into play. Instead of letting hate fester and spread like a virus, we have the ability to redirect it into action that lifts people up and heals communities. Hate is a powerful emotion, but so is love, empathy, and compassion. The energy we feel from hate can be just as potent when redirected toward a cause that benefits others. Rather than allowing our frustration to cause harm, we can take that energy and use it to make the world a better place. Volunteering. One of the simplest and most effective ways to turn negative feelings into positive action is through volunteer work. There are countless organizations, whether local or global, that need help. Whether it's serving food at a shelter, tutoring children in underprivileged schools, or helping out at a community center, volunteering can be a great way to transform frustration into constructive support for those in need. Activism. If you're passionate about a particular cause, activism provides a platform to use that energy productively. Standing up for justice, whether in person or online, helps to challenge harmful practices and systems. Protesting peacefully. Speaking out on social media. Writing letters to local government representatives. These actions create momentum for change. Spreading awareness. Sometimes the most powerful form of action is simply sharing the truth. Whether it's educating others on social issues, challenging stereotypes, or sharing stories of kindness and unity, spreading awareness helps change hearts and minds. If everyone took the time to speak out against hate, imagine how much progress we could make in the fight for equality and fairness. What actions can we take to turn the anger we feel into something that drives real change? How can we channel our emotions into causes that will benefit others? Getting involved in movements that promote equality, justice, and compassion. To combat hate, we must actively support movements that fight for love, unity, and justice. These movements are not just about fighting against something. They are about advocating for a better world where everyone has equal opportunities and rights. Equality movements, whether it's fighting for racial equality, gender equality, or LGBTQ+ rights, getting involved in movements that promote fairness and inclusion is a powerful way to counter hatred. You don't need to be a leader of a large organization to make a difference. Sometimes it's as simple as educating those around you, listening to the struggles of others, or standing up when you see inequality. Justice movements. These focus on ensuring that everyone, no matter their background or identity, has access to fair treatment under the law. By supporting justice reform initiatives, protesting unjust laws, and amplifying marginalized voices, we contribute to creating a society that is more equitable for all. Compassion is the antidote to hate. When we show empathy and care for those who are suffering, we offer a counter-narrative to the divisiveness that hate spreads. Supporting causes that focus on mental health, poverty alleviation, and refugee support helps provide relief to those affected by social inequalities and tragedies. Every action we take in the name of love and unity creates a ripple effect. Small acts of kindness, supporting causes, or simply showing respect can inspire others to do the same. The more people stand up for love and unity, the bigger the collective impact we have. How can we support movements that are fighting for fairness and compassion? What steps can we take today to contribute to these causes, even in small ways? It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problems in the world. Hate, discrimination, and injustice often seem too vast to tackle. But here's the truth. Change begins with one person. The actions of a single individual can spark something bigger than they ever imagined. We've seen this time and time again. One person standing up, speaking out, or lending a hand can inspire an entire community. One decision, one voice, one action can create a chain reaction that changes lives. Take, for example, the civil rights movement, where one person's courage to stand up against injustice sparked a nationwide movement for equality. The suffragists, whose dedication led to women gaining the right to vote. Even the smallest act of kindness can create waves of impact, whether forgiving someone who wronged you or helping a stranger in need. As more people join in, the ripple grows stronger and wider, eventually becoming a wave that leads to significant societal transformation. Think about how a small action, like offering support to a friend, teaching others about empathy, or standing up for someone being discriminated against, can multiply over time. That action might inspire someone else to do the same, and soon more and more people will be working toward a common goal, creating a world where love, kindness, and equality are the foundation. The truth is, collective action is unstoppable. When more people decide to act, the momentum builds. Movements that started with one voice, one person, can change the world. Don't underestimate the power of your own actions. What impact can our individual actions have on others? How can we become part of a larger collective movement for positive change? Now, the most important question remains, what can we do right now to take a stand against hate? The answer starts with you. Every person has the ability to change the world one action at a time. By redirecting our emotions, supporting causes that promote love and justice, and creating a ripple effect through our actions, we can break the cycle of hate and build a more compassionate world. Remember, turning hate into action doesn't mean you have to do everything at once. Every small step matters. It could be as simple as reaching out to someone who's struggling, volunteering your time to a cause you believe in, or educating yourself on issues of social justice. The most important part is to act. When we all start to act, we stop hate in its tracks. Now, more than ever, it's important that we recognize the role each of us plays in shaping the world around us. Every day we are presented with choices. The way we respond to others, the words we use, the actions we take. These things matter, and they matter more than we often realize. Every small act matters. Whether it's a simple smile to a stranger or choosing to help someone in need, small act of kindness can make a huge difference. The goal is to become mindful of how we interact with the world, led by example. People often follow the example set by others. When you choose kindness, you inspire others to do the same. This is how movements for change are born, through the actions of individuals who inspire others to act. Think about your daily routine. Do you encounter situations where you could make a small but positive impact? It could be something as simple as listening without judgment, being patient, or giving someone the benefit of the doubt. These actions have the potential to create ripples of kindness in your community. Now, let's talk about mindset. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when we think about changing the world. But the truth is, the world begins with us, with our own hearts and minds. It's about making small, intentional changes in the way we think, and those changes can compound and lead to something much bigger. Mindset is the foundation. The way we view others, whether through the lens of judgment or empathy, shapes our actions. If we choose to see the good in others, we'll treat them with respect and kindness, regardless of their background or beliefs. Small mindset shifts, big effects. When one person changes their perspective and chooses kindness over judgment, it can inspire others to do the same. This can snowball into a community where people treat each other with more empathy and understanding. Collective power. Imagine a world where every person committed to one small change in their mindset. Over time, these shifts could collectively change the tone of entire communities, cities, and even nations. What if we all decided to stop judging people based on their appearance, background, or past mistakes? What if we focus on seeing the humanity in each person we meet? This simple shift in perspective can build a foundation for a more compassionate world. Wouldn't that be amazing? At the end of the day, love and compassion are the antidotes to hate. It's easy to get caught up in the negativity of the world, but remember that love is a choice. Compassion is a decision we make every day. And when we choose these qualities, we challenge the negativity that often dominates our conversations and actions. How many times have we all experienced moments where a simple act of kindness made our day better? Maybe it was someone giving us a smile when we felt down, or a stranger helping us when we were in need. Those small moments show us the power of love and compassion. Now, it's time to make those moments the norm, not the exception. Here's the truth. While the world can sometimes feel chaotic and divided, we each have the power to make it better. Stopping hate doesn't require grand gestures or heroic acts. It starts with how we choose to show up every day. It starts with making small decisions in our hearts and minds to treat others with kindness and respect. We each carry the responsibility to be the change we want to see in the world. It's about taking ownership of how we contribute to the larger society. By actively choosing to stop the spread of hate, whether online or in person, we take a stand for kindness and respect. Our actions don't just affect us, they affect everyone around us. One act of kindness can influence a friend, a family member, or a colleague, setting off a chain reaction of goodwill. Think about the influence you have on the people around you. How many lives can you touch in a day? Every time you choose love over hate, you are helping to create a ripple effect. Will you take that responsibility seriously today? So, here's the challenge. Will you stand up against hate today? Will you choose kindness and empathy over judgment and fear? Will you actively contribute to a culture of love and respect? It's not always easy. The world can feel harsh at times, and we all have moments of weakness. But that doesn't mean we stop trying. We can choose to rise above the negativity and make the world a better place. Think about what you want the world to look like. Do you want it to be a place where judgment and hate rule, or do you want it to be a place where love and compassion thrive? The answer lies in our actions. It starts with you. Let's be clear. It's time to stop the hate. It's time to choose kindness, empathy, and understanding over fear and division. It's time to come together as a collective force for good. So, will you choose to be part of the solution? Will you help make the world a more loving, compassionate place? Together, we can make that change. We don't have to wait for someone else to act. We can start right now, right here, with the way we treat each other. Let's stop the hate, and let's begin today. Remember, hate only divides us, but love has the power to heal and unite. Let's all be a part of the change we want to see in the world. If this message resonated with you, hit that like button, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful content. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, spread kindness and stop the hate.